Good morning, Bill.
Good morning, Bill. How are you today?
I'm okay. That's
Yeah.
about all I can say.
Okay. Well, how was your weekend?
uh Man, okay, a lot happened this weekend actually. Um had some family over. Man, my
Uh-huh.
camera's all wonky, sorry. Had some family over for the weekend. Not for the whole weekend, but we saw my mother and her partner on Sunday morning, and then Melissa's sister's birthday, I think, is today. So they were over yesterday evening. Saturday, we decided to take a break from the real estate mastermind thing for the time being, just because it's one of those things to where we either need time or revenue to do it the right way, and I'm not really doing a good job of putting either one of those into there,
Mhm.
and so we're still going to do it eventually, but for right now, it's on hold while we get some of our other stuff kind of like squared away, like revenue wise. That way, we have a little bit more time to put into it. So,
Gotcha.
not happy about that, but that's where it is for right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Morning, Levi.
Good morning, Levi.
Yeah, I know. Those are always fun to spin up, spin down things or pause or
The thing is we've been. It wasn't really like a spin up. It's something we've been putting like a lot of like thought and effort and conversation to. So had a little bit of like sunk cost kind of show up in the form of like just keep it going, kind of deal. But I can't. I'm the man with two pipelines right now. One of them is for adapted growth and my stuff, and that is bearing fruit after essentially putting it all the way down a couple of months ago for the ad guru ad kind of AI thing. So I cannot prospect, qualify, and close for two separate pipelines. I can qualify and close for two pipelines, but prospecting takes just such a amount of volume and effort that it is really hard to do well on both of them. And I don't really have the money to turn on prospecting in both of these pipelines. So right now, it doesn't make any sense for me to put this one, the one for adapted growth, the one that's already like stable and producing, kind of like on hold again and starting all the way over because I don't have any momentum going in the other pipeline yet. So I either need people to come and prospect with me, or I need funds to pay for prospecting, or it's got to shift in some other way. So we decided to kind of put it on hold.
that makes sense. I think
I'm very unhappy about it, but it is what it is.
okay. I'll leave it for now because it sounds a little frustrating. So
It's not frustrating. The thing is, I'm a C. I don't like failing and to spend this much time into something and not have it like launch or get like actual validation of, because everybody we talk to is like, man, this is a great idea. People need this. Okay, great. We just need to get in front of enough of those people. And that's always the hard part, right? So you can either pay for lead gen, or you can pay for marketing, or you can handle lead gen on your own. Lead gen is the part of selling that I dislike the most, just because like I'm not really wired for it.
that's why I'm here. Otherwise, you wouldn't need me on the call.
So at this point, it feels more like a problem that we could just figure out if we noodled with it for a little bit longer. But part of that noodling is like having the bandwidth to do it or money to pay for it, and
Yeah.
both of those are in short supply currently.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Is there the only question I would have actually at this point, because I know very little, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would be, would there be a way to do just this amount of lead gen so that the momentum, quote unquote, stays kind of going? Because you obviously, I mean, you don't have to do lots and lots of lead gen. You want to because you want it to grow.
Yeah.
Quickly. But could you drip it? Is that
so the MVP of this, right at the core, is coaching, right? So like I would be coaching around sales and networking, somebody else would be coaching around like process and culture and VAs and automations, and then the other person is coaching around like marketing and positioning itself. So that's kind of the core foundational element. So it's super easy for me to just carve out another time on the calendar for like coaching, because like that's mostly what I do now. But these other people like need to have like a like a really good reason to block off part of their time for like coaching and stuff. And so, if there's not enough people in there, it doesn't make sense,
Volume.
stuff like that. So
one coaching client's not enough. You need 3, 5, 10.
exactly.
Worth
Yeah.
a while.
Yeah. And then the really interesting play about it is a sales side on the back end of it that is going to require like a constant bench of people who were interested and were qualifying and vetting those people. So yeah, it's just not really something that can be done very well on like a part-time basis, and it can't be done at all on a part-time and low funds basis, which is kind of where I'm at. Okay. So yeah, it's on hold for now.
Okay.
Hopefully not for forever, but I don't do a really great job of like putting things on hold and not still having it like humming around in the back of my head and causing, the same bandwidth issues that it would be, last week whenever it was still like like an open and running project, because we are, still planning to like pick it up again in the future. So I can't put it all the way down completely. So it kind of feels like a waste of energy, but
yeah, the mental bandwidth is still there. Is that something like where I'm trying to think of the cycle, because when I go through that, I hit these like, think about it. And I'm like, oh, I need to stop thinking about that. Think about it. Oh, I need to stop thinking about that. And then eventually it just kind of peters out for me.
Yeah.
Like a distance or time from it.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah. There's the initial, well, if I can't have it my way, we should just like shut it all the way down for forever kind of thing. And as reflexive as that is at times, like for some people, I think it's a better way to do it, right? Like okay, like if we can't do this the way that like I see this thing, I should detach myself from it, because otherwise you're just going to be either moving forward like half-heartedly, right? Or you're the cancer on the team or something else along those lines. So
yeah, well, and just from the mental bandwidth part, like
absolutely
giving away 10 to 20% of your brain every week for something that's not moving.
Yeah. For
so
sure.
Are you able to detach yourself in a way to say that's not a project right now, mentally, like, but still filed away and nice to have? You know what I mean? Because there's projects on the thing that you shared with me. We talked about a couple weeks ago. There's these things in the future you want. Could you file it that way and go, that's something that will be there in the future, but obviously it's not right now.
Kind of, and that's the way that it'll eventually end up. It'll eventually be like the mindfulness CRM that I want to build. Like it's on the wish list of things that I want to build eventually, because it ties into my bigger kind of why of changing sales like completely. But so that's there. The interesting thing is, like, once I've started taking action and having conversations about it, it just kind of like,
it's a different level.
It just kind of like just zooms in, and then the level of thought and bandwidth it takes over is just different. Because yeah, like this is how I process stuff, is out loud in front of like other people. Yeah. And I was talking with a friend of mine, Jeremy, and he was like, "Oh, I just figured you out." And I was like, "I'm sorry, you figured me out?" And he goes, "We have these kinds of conversations all the time, and I never realized that like this was you verbalizing like as part of your process to work through it." And I was like, "Oh yeah, like I need to have like the best sounding boards around me, because like I'm not going to figure this stuff out on my own." And sometimes it's just like, look, I don't really need you to say anything. I just need you to like be there, and I need to see your face as I'm talking this idea out in front of you, kind of thing. And so you're one of those people, and I've got I don't know, a good 15 to 20 people who make very specific backboards for certain ideas and thoughts. So
yeah, did you see my Marco Polo last night?
Man, I did. I wanted to talk about it today. I have lots of questions.
Okay, yeah. Well, I said the exact same thing to you. I thought this is my verbal processing. I just got to get it out there, and like you said, like I didn't even need an answer. I just needed to tell someone that I knew would listen and would have some thoughts later. So yeah. That makes for probably a good podcast, right?
And it would make for a fantastic episode. I don't think we have time to like cover that episode with any kind of value.
No.
In one of the short episodes, and definitely not with what we have left over today. But essentially, Jake is struggling a little bit with like putting down work in a meaningful way, because there's not really a whole lot else meaningful for him to like invest himself into. Is that true?
Oh yeah, it's a good way to summarize it.
Yeah. It's always been like, whenever I was doing kung fu and I would go talk to people, right? Because like I just can't shut up about like the things that I'm into. Everybody would always be so blown away. Like, man, when do you find the time to do that? It's like it's Monday, Wednesday, and Friday nights and Saturday mornings. What are you doing during those times? Well, man, I'm just sitting on the couch or I'm watching TV or I'm drinking a beer and it's just like, okay, instead of doing those things, I just make a decision to go train. Like that, like that's the only difference between like me and these people who are somewhat overwhelmed by like this idea of like me training in martial arts. And Levi has a good point, right? It could be disc golf. It doesn't really matter what it is, as long as you put yourself into it, like some sort of meaningful improvement loop. And man, it was so funny because Jake
Put that up.
huh?
Put that up on screen.
Yeah. So we're playing disc golf a couple of Sundays ago, last Sunday, I guess. And Jake is like, I know Jake to be competitive, right? But we've never really done like a whole lot of sports things. And like Levi threw his disc and was just kind of complaining about like the distance of it. And then Jake gets up there and just rips it. And it goes a little bit further. And he goes, "Oh, like that one?" And then he was like, "Dang it, I can't even help myself." And I lost it. I was laughing so hard because for the next two holes, Jake is like, "Man, you just put me near sports and I just can't help myself. I just start smack talking." It was so funny.
Yeah. It's funny the reactions that you have when you put yourself in different environments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Levi. Yeah, that's one of the reasons I can't play golf is because if I pick up those clubs and I play 2 rounds,
yep, that's
I
it.
might as well empty my wallet. Like it is tough. So I gotta be careful. The good news about disc golf is it only costs you your time, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who were like, "Man, dude, if you wanted to, you could make the golf thing. Like you could really figure it out. It'd be cool to watch." And I'm like, I can't. No, like you know what I do not need in my life anymore. Another expensive hobby.
Yes. The good thing about working at your house is that you can become obsessed with work, and your kids are here and you see them. When you're at kung fu, when you're at golf, when you're wherever. They don't see you anymore. You're just gone.
A guy that I play poker with, he played either like in high school or college and played pretty well. And so then him and his wife just decided that he would take a 5-year hiatus from work and try to become a professional golfer. And so he has a coach. He works out every day, and the dude's progress has been ridiculous. Like a true testament to like put in the work, remove the other stuff that keeps you from working. Because like, I think his wife is like an ER doctor or something like this. Like so they're not hurting for like any of the income and stuff like this. And he plays every day, and he's gotten, I mean, a lot better. Is he going to hit the pro level? I don't really know, because like, I mean, pro is such like a jump in just about anything, right? So I don't know, but I find that fascinating that you can just decide that you're going to take like a 5-year break to try to turn a hobby into an income. I think it's cool. I can't really wrap my head around that at this point in my life, though.
Yeah. I mean, it helps to have a large amount of income just sitting around to be like, oh yeah, that's not a concern. Yeah. I think the tripwire for me, as I was thinking about this, was that I'm letting projects slide like further in the day or to the next day. Things that I don't really do when I'm on my game. I like if it's on my calendar, it gets done, period. And more that's been sliding, and it's because they can slide into the evening because there's nothing else I have to do or I know I'm going to have to go to. And then that started sliding into days versus just hours. And that's when it was like, oh gosh, I got to figure out what's going on here, because I couldn't figure it out. I was just staring at it going, why in the world didn't I do that yesterday? I had the time. It was sitting there. So.
How did I do that? We'll talk about that in a second. About April, like I think we were just starting to do the morning show, this thing every morning. Man, we're coming up on a year of this, which is like really fascinating.
That's awesome.
We need to figure out like the actual date and do something with it.
Yes.
But so I I started thinking about like how much I was putting into the day and how that was pushing back my time, and that's when I started to do like the 4:30 done
Yep.
kind of times, because what I was realizing, right, was that I was essentially taking my family relationships for granted, like, oh, this will always be there, right? And I think we all know the story of an entrepreneur or someone who did that. It was not the case, and then they end up having to, go through like a separation or divorce or something like that. And you know, I don't think I was close to that, but I think I was on that path of just being like, oh well, eventually, eventually. So that's where, like, last year, I started to really kind of like think about my time and how I was spending it and who was getting chunks of it, and who should be and who shouldn't be. So
Yeah, and if it's not the divorce or whatnot, the other one is your health suffers because
yeah,
you're chained to your desk, so you don't do things to keep you eat like crap and you don't exercise and all those things. But both, which end up in the same spot, which is miserable.
yes, that's true, and that's absolutely true.
Yeah.
What do you have today, Bill?
Got a busy day. I've got 3 client meetings today.
Wow.
We had a big last couple of weeks. Like we brought on a few customers, and there's a couple more queued up, and then we've got leads coming in. Like, so it's been a really exciting last couple of weeks. So I've got another positioning meeting with a brand new client. I've got a story brand kind of communication made simple activity we do with a client from last week. We're going to phase 2 with them this week. Then I've got another one that's an onboarding. And then we've got a monthly meeting at Quirk where James is a fantastic team leader when it comes to people. That is his genius. He's just really good at growing teams and people. So he has a monthly meeting that's really just to check in on your career progress with Quirk and how you feel things are going and improvements you could see that can be made with the organization, stuff like that. So I've got that meeting today with him. And then, of course, all the other stuff that's just blocking, tackling, filling your day. So it's a super busy Monday for me.
Yeah. Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Man. I'm gonna have a call with Jordan here in a second, kind of talk about some sales stuff. I double booked myself for 10 a.m., which is pretty frustrating. I'm not sure how that actually happened because I remember planning both of these things separately and not seeing the first one on the calendar whenever I went to go look at the second one. So I need to go take a look at that. So anyway, I have Jordan, and then supposed to have a call with Shivam. I might be pushing that because of this double booking thing. At 10, I have a call with one of the partners from the real estate mastermind to kind of wrap it up and kind of just winterize it for now. And then also this guy Joel, who was working with me on one of the projects over the summer, and we're gonna have a catch up call. I have some client work. A client is looking to hire a salesperson, so we're putting her through the assessment process. So we're going to go over the assessments today.
Cool.
Private coaching at 1. I have a digital coffee call, which is just kind of like a networking deep dive with this guy who's a newer connection. He runs an agency. He said he wasn't happy with his closing rates, so we're going to have a conversation about that. And then at 4:00 today, I have a call with Mama Bill, kind of go over some sales stuff because.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, she might be. Well, she is. We're talking about her going to work for one of my clients who is looking for a closer, and so she wants some reps because she really wants to build and scale her own like bed and breakfast thing at the land. So she needs some funds to do that, and so she's looking to take some calls. So
okay, very cool.
Yeah,
awesome. That's awesome. A question came to me over the weekend as I was thinking about how we wrap our calls each day, because we're not doing like the bet thing itself right now. But I think one of the things that we can do that we revisit the bet too, that's fun. And I like doing that. But I think that the point of it is, right, what are you doing today to like grow something and to hit your Q1 goals? Because I was mapping back my stuff on my board and I made sure that my big 3 was mapping back to something that was going to make my Q1 goal happen, not just finish.
Not just like activities for the sake of having activities.
Right. Because for you, it's like Sales Lab is great, but that's really fulfillment, right? So what am I doing today, this week to grow the thing?
Yeah, to get more into the fulfillment stage. Yeah, for sure. Towards because like I'll still do a bit of a bill bet. We have kind of fallen off and talking about it, and I would like to fix that. But I found myself like in the moment, like kind of picking my bill bet and doing these things that were not really directly tied to the why, right, and the larger stuff. So
And that's a good lesson for everybody, because if it's just repetition, it's not worth much and it falls off, right?
absolutely, yeah, for sure. So I would like to get back to conversation to talking about our bets publicly, right, and having them in a place so that whether anybody who wants to check in on it can. But
Yep.
I needed to do a better job of making sure that the goals that I pick for myself are not just like hard for the sake of being hard, right? Which is like kind of my go-to thing. Let's just make this really hard, so that way whenever I do it, it's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, effective first, and then if
Yeah.
you want to land the dismount, that's on you,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, and I'd be happy to challenge you on those in that way.
Yeah.
So we're actually, because I need to do the same thing. Because one of the things I was thinking about this weekend is I think all of us do better when we have community involved in our goals.
Mhm.
And so that's what part of this is, right? And anybody who's watching and commenting, and our regular crowd and those people popping in and out, like that's actually one of the reasons we wanted to do this live,
Yeah.
was so that y'all could be involved and bring your own stuff, and we could be your community.
What's funny is someone last week gave me a compliment about how I guess how good I was on Zoom,
Mhm.
right? And with last year and everything, and I was just seeing all these headlines about people being just like Zoom fatigue, Zoom fatigue, Zoom fatigue. I spend so much time like
Mhm.
on here doing this that it doesn't really feel like anything like specific. So
Yeah.
yeah, the compliment was like interesting because there was a time where I would not role play on camera. Like I wouldn't role play a sales thing on camera because it was just too uncomfortable. It'd be too much in my own head. And now that's all I do. It's kind of an interesting shift, right? And just a little bit by little bit, but yeah.
It reminds me of the Matrix screen, like it was in the second one with the architect, where
Mhm.
all the screens, all the people doing things, like, oh,
Yeah.
we're the Matrix. It was our screen.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So yeah, it's weird to me that this is now a skill set that people are like envious of. It's like, man, I just talk all day.
Who
So
knew that my broadcast journalism training would come in of being on camera?
thanks, mom.
Yeah, thanks, Grandpa, for paying for college. Yeah, for sure.
Oh man.
Well,
Yeah.
then, do we want to do something this week around the bill bet, or do we? I mean, we could pick something
Well,
like.
so you say yes, and I immediately start just like spooling up. So let
I
me
know.
let me have the day to kind of like think about it meaningfully, and then we can have a discussion about it.
I'll check
Um,
at the end of the day. That way, we'll be ready for tomorrow's episode.
yes, that would be perfect.
Okay, good deal.
Awesome. So we have about 5 minutes before I have to go meet Jordan, but this feels like as good a place as any to end this for today.
Yep.
So thanks to Levi for hanging out with us this morning. You're awesome, buddy. And we will see everybody tomorrow. Are you going to get stuck on anything today, Bill? You need any accountability or?
I think I've got so much stuff like already dialed in
Okay.
that I think good. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. Well, we will see everybody tomorrow.
Bye.
Cheers.